I was in my element. You know, this was it. Just to feel that brush and just a little bit of drag on the paint. You could make that brush do anything that you wanted to. I mean, that's power. It's real power.
Don't you think a sign is something that every person somewhere along the line has tried? That we're the ones that just kind of kept on going.
I got enough of an ego that tells me that I can do anything I want to do.
I liked working with the brush.
Even the way that I describe it to people, oh, what do you do? I'm a sign painter. I paint letters on buildings.
I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to do and make a living.
Every artist is a character, period.
It's an invisible art. It's an invisible industry. People just take it for granted.
If you follow every known law in the sign game, you will at least do a sign that works. That's correct.
In September 1982, a company came out with a plotter that could actually cut out vinyl letters.
You can cut out these many letters out of this many square feet of vinyl and make this much money, and that's what motivated them. None of these guys had any background in the sign-making world.
I mean, hundreds of sign painters just threw in the towel.
At some point, there's got to be a backlash. I saw a bumper sticker that said, "Drum machines have no soul." It made a good point.
I look all over the city. This is my city.
On my gravestone, it's going to say, "He died for greater opacity."
I think that every human being has the capability of altering their environment for the better with their bare hands.
Letters are really cosmic things. You can make any name in the whole universe.
Old signs become art. I want to make signs that turn into art.
Thank you very much for staying. I guess we'll first just have all the sign painters here. Oh, before I even do that, I know there's sign painters in the audience that I don't know, we didn't get in touch with. Would you mind raising your hands? I'm just curious who you are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, excellent. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you found out about this movie. The panelists, at least the local people, I got in contact through Steve Parker, who's a friend of, I guess, he knows everyone at American Dowell. And all the people up here, as they'll introduce themselves, please mention American Dowell because you guys are all related somehow, okay? So please, okay, tell us your name, where you're from, and how about your first impressions of the movie?
Fantastic movie. My name is Jim North. I founded American Dowell Signs. And some of these guys, a couple of them anyway, have spent a lot of time together in the sign shop. But we have one thing in common, is that we all know how to paint signs. And we learned the hard way, just get in there and do it. But anyway, I think John Myers is also part of this panel and should be up here.
Oh yeah, that's one of the empty seat for you. Please do come. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Travis Easton. Also came up from American Dowell Signs. I think I'm Jim North's son here, as I'm often referred to, but I'm not.
Oh, that's most important, you're the new owner.
The new owner, that's right.
You're the former owner. Correct. Okay, so
yeah.
Right there, relationship.
Yeah.
My name's Mac Kite, and my dad was a sign painter, and I learned from him, and I pretty much didn't have any choice in the matter. I was born into it. So I had my own shop for a lot of years, and I currently work for Travis, and I don't paint much anymore.
Now, tell us about your family. As I interviewed Steve Parker and the other sign painters around town, your dad's name came up over and again. Why? What's up with this?
He was pretty well known in the area. You know, he was a very good sign painter, and he was pretty popular. Yeah, so.
Mike?
My name is John Myers. I learned to be a sign painter later on, but I learned to draw pictures with a pencil first before I learned to write. And that was because we were poor in northern Indiana and we didn't have any toys. So to entertain ourselves, we drew pictures, carved soap and wood, done things because we didn't have anything bought. I feel like I was blessed to be born the best time in the world of history, because we went from walking or riding or horse and buggy to going to the moon and back in one generation. And when I was preschool, we had members of the family in their 80s that we took care of because there wasn't any other option. And I learned a lot from those gentlemen and ladies and applied it. So I feel blessed to have been poor because we learned to utilize skill and patience and make things. And it's amazing what you can do if you apply yourself to knowledge.
Now, John, you were the mentor of Jim North here, right? So you actually taught Jim how to paint signs, is that correct?
That's right, I guess. I don't feel like I'm a teacher, but I did fill a role.
So once again, this relationship here all goes back to just a whole family of sign painters.
All these gentlemen, I've got stories to tell. Probably it's interesting. So I'll pass the mic down.
Okay, Bill, you're next.
I'm Bill Diaz. I'm here with my wife and son. We live in Pontiac, Illinois, and I'm way up past my bedtime, by the way. So, but I break the bond here because other than knowing Mac's brother Dan, this is the first time I met these gentlemen, and I'm self-taught sign painter, still active, although we have a full vinyl digital shop. You know, we're one of those guys that do all that stuff too. But I have been fortunate enough to keep up sign painting as well, and have been able to I've enjoyed some popularity with some of the older baby boomers who have hot rods and stuff and still want things done by hand, and I pinstripe almost daily. So and I know these two gentlemen down here, we wall dog together, which is a form of sign painting. We promote the wall advertising that was done mostly in the first half of the last century, when every town, that's the one thing I got out of this whole program tonight, was how prevalent sign painting was in the first half of the last century especially. And I'm fortunate as well to have at least got part of that in my beginnings. And I'm honored to be here, by the way, with these people, and especially the movie star down there. Comes all the way from Minnesota. That's amazing. But I guess I'll pass it to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, my name is Scott Lindley, but you can call me Cornbread. That's usually what I go by on the Wall Dog fan page that I run on Facebook. I loved the movie. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. It's amazing. Every time that I looked up there, I said, wow, hey, I met that guy, or hey, I met that person. And especially this guy, I met him, you know, at a Wall Dog meet of all places. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm up here is because I've been painting with the Wall Dog since 2006. I've got to meet a lot of these people. They've inspired me. I now pursue this as a muralist, a sign painter. Something that I did when I was younger, gave it up because I was going to the digital world. I decided to go to school to become a graphic designer because I was going to make a lot of money. Got out, found out that wasn't true. Sad story. True story, though. But then, you know, these guys inspired me to change direction. And now I go into towns, I help inspire communities to embrace this Wall Dog thing so we can show people traditional, you know, sign painting, murals, and we bring a little happiness and some history back to communities like Arcola right there. So, but here, I'll pass the mic over here to the movie star.
Thanks for coming. It's great to be with this panel here. It's the two showings I've been at. There was just a few people, and it was a different question and answer period. And what it was a lot of people didn't know about signs, and there was a lot of people in the audience that were related to art here and there, but not quite as much as I think what we see tonight. But they really, and I'm sure you people will be the same way, where you think totally different about signs because of what you saw here. But I was one of those guys that they talked about and had the fire in the belly when I was a kid. Local sign painter would come by and I'd be on my bicycle. My buddies, come on, we're going to go play ball. I'll be right there. I got to watch this guy. He's painting this truck, and I bothered him and bothered him. Finally, the guy got older, and I had a letterhead meet, and his son took over the shop where they do vinyl. And I said, can you have your dad come over? Well, I don't know what he'd care. No, I want your dad here. And here he come in, and he looked at me. You're the kid on the bicycle. I said, yes, I was. I told you to get a different job and do something else, but you didn't listen. No, I didn't, because I had the fire in the belly, and I'm honored to be in this movie. I had no idea when they came to my shop what you're talking about, but as I travel around quite a bit. I just got back from 6,000 miles of going out to California and back, and I can say 100% we're in the second rejuvenation. I really think there's a lot of young people that are asking, where can we learn this? Will you teach us? Do you have workshops? And I stopped at the LA Trade Tech and talked to Doc. There used to be 4. There was Toronto, there was Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, where I went, and then LA Trade Tech, and now there's only 1. And out there's a lot of gang kids that did graffiti, and they're trying to change their life there, so there's really nothing on the other side of the country, which I'd like to start doing some workshops to show people. Maybe if it isn't a full-time school, it'd just be a 3 or 4 day workshop. But I think it's coming back. I think we're all tired of seeing perfectly done stuff. It has its place, yes, and but I think the hand painting skill of it and the things that need to be done the right way, it's on its way back. And why would there be a movie made about it? So that's the way I look at it, and it's great that it's brought that attention to everybody. And from what Faith and Sam told me, I think this movie will be available around Christmas time on DVD. Otherwise, it's still going to all these small theaters. And I'm going to be down in New Zealand doing a letterhead meet next month, and it happens to be there too. And no, I don't have a pile of money because I go to New Zealand. I don't hunt, fish, camp. I do signs. And I would walk down here for this. But I drove in my van and I slept in Cedar Rapids. If you saw me last night in the Walmart there. If you see on the Wall Dog website where it says, where do you want to stay? That's me at the end where it says an orange van down by the river. That's my story. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. Wall Dogs was mentioned 3 times now. You guys have to explain what this Wall Dog meet is all about. And Cornbread, how many Wall Dog meets have you coordinated?
I have coordinated 3 Wall Dog meets with a total of, I think, 45 murals here in Illinois.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and the first Wall Dog meet that I went to was in 2006, where I met Mike Meyer there, and I met Bill Diaz there. I actually did my first coordination in Jacksonville, Illinois. I was just there to paint, and I ended up getting this man a lift. So I went down and haggled with a guy down at a rental shop and said, hey, we need a lift. Can you get us this lift at a cheap price? And they did it. So, yeah. So I guess I was born to that kind of role. So.
Sure. And maybe you guys, I don't know, maybe Bill can explain what happens at the Wall Dog event. I mean, how is it done? And
Well, let's see. Basically, it started in '93 in Allerton, Iowa. And a friend of ours, Nancy Bennett, started it. I don't know, can you hear me? I'll hold it closer. And she invited a bunch of her friends to come to a little town near where she lived to repaint some signs. There was an old Coca-Cola sign, and they had a mural planned. There was a muralist there. And we congregated together. I think there was 100 of us or so. And we went into this little town. We stayed with local people in their homes, and they fed us and entertained us, and we painted their town. And it was an amazing experience. It was a sharing experience, so they got to understand who we were and what we did for a living. And, you know, we're kind of a mysterious bunch. And like, for instance, people that live in a small town like I live in, there might be just one person that does it. So I'm always referred to as the sign painter. So it's like, well, you know, you're different than everybody else. So it's a way of letting people know what we do for a living, and at the same time, we share our talents with a community. So it's a give and take from both directions. And we've been doing it ever since, and now I think we're scheduled up until 2018. Usually one community a year, but as our numbers grow, it might change into 2 communities a year. But from that, what's happened is as we have worked side by side with each other and become a family, we know each other, call each other all the time. We help each other get jobs and so forth. We've actually struck out on our own in little groups and gone into communities to paint murals. This summer, we painted in Waukesha, Wisconsin, for instance, and our family did 2 murals. These 2 fellows both did 2 murals at different points of time. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're traveling around doing murals with people we've met along the way. But the whole thing started from the old advertising that was done on brick walls in especially the first half of the last century. Advertising that you would see before radio and television. It was real prominent to see wall advertising painted on brick walls, factory walls and stuff like that, all over cities. And if you paint a few of those old walls like that in your town, it automatically gives that image that the town has, that it used to have. So yeah, when we go into a town and paint these things, it makes the town look more authentic somehow.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
And do you also invent new signs and new murals as well as repainting old ones?
Right, and you know, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll paint we don't paint existing businesses so as not to give one business a fair advantage over another business, but we'll paint like there used to be a soda shop or something like that 50 years ago, so we'll reenact that, what would have been an ad for that. Okay. And then a lot of the times we'll do a mural that will have to do with a historic event or some kind of happening in that town to tell a story. And the communities, what they do then, their job is to kind of coordinate those murals so that the visitor that comes and walks around to see the murals gets an idea of the history of that town.
And at these meets, do you get to see younger people like Cornbread
Well,
joining in?
the way it's set up is we have a certain number of murals, and we have project leaders that their job is to design the mural and make sure it's completed. And then the rest of the people will come and work with those people on the mural. So it could be somebody who's never painted before, and that's a fun thing, because out of that you'll have somebody that, like Cornbread, for instance, that he is so enthusiastic about it, but he's made a career out of it now, you know. And at the same time, we'll get young people that will work on it, and for the first time they'll get a hold of a brush. And the other neat thing about it is we'll have people from all over the United States and all over the world. It's just really thrilling to sit and work on a mural with somebody from Germany, let's say, or New Zealand, or Scotland. It's really a neat thing to do, and it's a life-changing thing for a lot of people. I've heard that I don't know how many times. And if you come to Pontiac, Illinois, they were so enthusiastic in our town that we have a museum just dedicated to that. So if you stop in Pontiac, we have the International Wall Dog Museum there, where we've got all kinds of artifacts, various displays of signs and paints and brushes. There's a swing stage in there that you saw in the movie where they rope fall up and down buildings to paint the signs. There's all kinds of there was talked about the Beverly Sign Company and its importance. There's several blueprints. They used to do blueprints for these signs, and there's several of those that were donated from the Beverly Sign Company. So it's a full thing. And if you get a chance to go to the American Sign Museum in Cincinnati, there's even more about signs there. It's well worth a trip. That probably is more dedicated to larger signs, a lot of neon signs and stuff. But they do have a miniature-sized town that you can walk in that Mike and I and some other painters painted storefronts and things in there. It's a neat thing to experience for people. And then, of course, they've got the staff there to give you the knowledge of the sign industry as well.
Cincinnati, it's worth a trip, right?
Right.
Okay. We will open the question and answer portion up really quick, but there's one question I really have to ask you guys as long as you're here all together. Just one quote in the movie, something like, all sign painters are drunk and crazy. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Only half of us.
Comments?
No, that's not true.
That's
what I experienced with the group is that, no, we are family people, and yes, we do have a few drunk and crazy people like Gayla out there. But for the most part, we're all pretty easygoing folks, except for Bill here. His son had to drive him here, so.
Does anyone up here have a sign painting story they'd like to share? Something personal, the best client, the worst catastrophe, whatever you want to talk about.
I don't think we have time. I grew up in my dad's barber shop in my small town, which I still live in. It's 800 people. And I had an older brother and a younger brother, and I was the hell-raising middle one. So your dad's going to watch you at the barber shop. So I was there in the barber shop, but when my dad wasn't cutting hair, he would paint signs. So I watched him, and I like to do that. He's still alive. He just turned 80. He's in Rochester, Minnesota. So I knew everybody that would come into town without even having to look up. I could just hear their voice. I could hear the auctioneer, the mechanic, everybody. And then I'd look, and they'd tassel my hair. And then when they got older, I did signs for them, and now their kids taking over their business. So the wheel just keeps going. But it's amazing how stuff like that, everybody's got different ways they get into the sign business like that, but that's how I did. And like I said, the fire in the belly, we used to race little model cars. I'd make them exactly like I'd see the stock cars, and I actually painted them with toothpicks. So that was my first lettering to do all that. I actually got the gumption up to show a car to one of the drivers, and he was just, wow, look at this. I want you to have it. And he's like, no, I can't take this from you, kid. You did all this work on it. Hey, you guys, look at what this guy did. Then when I got older, I actually lettered the guy's car. You're that little kid that came up? Yeah, that's me. So, and I also drive these old Studebaker trucks and cars. So when people ask me, well, how do I get business? Well, just look. One of my sayings is do the opposite. Or when you see the obvious, do the opposite. And that gets you a lot of work. And I think that's what a lot of sign painters are about. In the old days when it was only painters, you could spot, there's that garbage truck, so-and-so did that, there's that fire truck, he did that and that. The vinyl kind of took the personality away. But there is a lot of people that hand letter their stuff, and then it becomes a font you can buy now. But there's people that buy that still don't know how to put it together. And that TypeCon thing I was at in Portland, these were nerds that were just looking at type underneath a microscope. So I could jab back at them a little bit, being a sign painter, which was kind of fun. But if there's somebody out there, a younger person that wants to be a sign painter, even if you're not a younger person, you can do it. And with the look at Google and everything you got with the internet today, you can find everything you want. Back then, we had to, I still use my morgue. I would dig through old magazines and cut things out, and I still go through all that, and it still has a personality. And I think people need to learn that as well, that if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want this certain sign done, I saw that ad back when I was watching cartoons in 1964, I think I can do this. And now where did that come from? Well, I've been studying this my whole life. This is what I do. That's the fire in the belly part. I think the other people today with clip art and this and that, it's just not the same. So now I think the Renaissance is here for the young people to do that. And thanks to this movie coming out and people that believe in it, here we are.
Everybody wants to know is, have you ever misspelled something? Well, you're not a sign painter unless you have misspelled something. Isn't that right? Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. There's no argument here. And so mine was lettering for some accountants, and I lettered certified public accountants. And of course, I think the reason you misspell a word is you're thinking of the next letter down the line, right? Especially if you sketch on where you're going to go, and you're daydreaming a little bit because you're doing one-stroke Gothic, right? Yep. And that's when it happens. So I misspelled public, certified public accountants.
There's something about sign painter that people need to talk to you. And they can walk by carpenters, plumbers, or whoever, and not need to say anything usually, but very few people can walk by a sign painter that's painting a window downtown and not have a comment. And we get some dandies down there, and I enjoyed that. I didn't realize that I was getting old till I got to 80, and then I figured out that I was getting old. But it's been an enjoyable vocation, and I enjoyed the painting the signs downtown on the windows. There's too many of them to tell, but I appreciate them. And if you see a sign painter painting a sign on the window, stop and talk to him. He's expecting it.
You still paint signs today, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. What's the last sign that you painted?
Well, on the personal finance in Danville.
In Danville. So that you go look at it. Okay. All right.
Tell a story?
Not about me.
Yeah. Well, going back to the misspellings and whatnot, I have two clippings from cartoons out of the newspaper. One of them is it's a sign painter, and he's got his sign that says sign company, and he's got an add-on board that says NY to finish the company. And the other one, it's sign painters on strikes. They're holding up signs with no lettering.
Shall we ask the audience, ask the panel some questions from the audience, please? Anyone? Okay, go ahead.
The sign painter in the film is a white shirt and tie.
And you know why I did that? I'll tell you. I dressed up for that in respect to all the sign painters that came before me, because that's how they dressed every day. So if they were ghosts standing there, it was like, you better look good for us. That's why.
He's a dapper man, man.
That's right. I don't want to flop, I want to dapper man.
Okay. Other questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. Do you recall Wall Dogs doing Lincoln, Illinois or Atlanta, Illinois?
Well, Bill here ran Atlanta, Illinois, and Mike Meyer ran Lincoln, Illinois.
That's what I
and
thought.
I live by Lincoln, Illinois, and their murals don't look too pretty anymore. So.
No, they don't, and I have to confess that they hired somebody not as skilled as you to try and touch them up, and I wish that they'd called you.
Maybe they didn't like my price because I gave it one.
That was to do with
And
it.
the good ladies from Atlanta, Illinois make the best pies of them all.
Yeah, I know they were talking about you guys for the longest time up in Atlanta. Yeah. Yeah, they were real excited to have you all come.
Other questions? Michael?
The movie brought back a lot of memories for me of something that I forgot that I did, but in the early 80s, my dad owned a liquor store on the south side of Chicago, and I painted the signs outside for him. And there were 4 large panels. One said groceries, sundries, produce, and beer. And the produce sign, I got them all finished, took me 3 to 4 weeks. And the produce sign didn't have the S on the end of produce. Somebody noticed after it was done. And I didn't want to repaint the whole thing, so I painted the S falling off the end of the word out of the sign with a guy on a ladder pushing it back in. And it got more compliments from the mistake than anything else. But it's a little guy pushing that S back into the sign. And I forgot I did that, and it was so long ago for me in the 80s.
That's the personality that needs to come back in signs, because that's what you remember.
Yeah. I forgot about that story completely.
I think the beauty of it is the mistake sometimes, though. You know, I think some of the best things that I do sometimes is when I really screw up. The accident, though, sometimes you fall into something and it just makes something else happen, and that's the beauty of it, you know. So.
Well, I think that's what makes you want to be so good at it. It's not so much the customer as your buddy, your Wall Dog buddies, or whoever, you know. They're the ones going to give you the crap about it.
They also cheer you on, too.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
See someone in the middle?
Yeah, is there a pet peeve that you have when, for example, someone new is learning how to do this and maybe they think that they're getting kind of good and you see something that they keep doing that is really irritating?
I hate crooked. I can't stand crooked.
Go ahead.
Mike, do you do any work with the Chicago Brush Masters?
I don't, but I want to. It's just hasn't happened where I had a free weekend to do something, but I've got some things I want to donate because, man, that's one thing that's done is sign painting, that some of those guys are really unsung heroes. They'll have a meeting, and what they make there, and all the painters that come in to make it, they auction it off, and they millions to Ronald McDonald House.
I work.
Do you?
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, we raised, last year was over $70,000.
Right. Yeah, I've attended, 6 years, I think, up there at the World of Wheels.
World of Wheels, yeah.
Boston.
Yeah, first weekend of March, and I would urge anybody that has any time to go up to that car show, the World of Wheels at the Rosemont Horizons. And be around Friday night, Saturday or Sunday for the auctions. They want to say they're crazy and drunks. No, it's the most giving, caring people that I know of, those artists that do all that work, and it's some lovely stuff.
I think the early letterhead meets, it was always, your ego stays at the door. You're this guy that just does this immaculate work and you've been in the magazine and all that, well, that's great. But the best thing you can do is turn around and talk to that person that is new to it and share it with them. It isn't about, look at me, and all this. And there have been people that have come to meets like that and they don't stick around very long because we just don't care. We care if you want to turn around and talk to somebody. I paid for, out of my money, for a kid that I saw the fire in the belly come from California to the meet in Danville. And he had tattoos and everything, and people thought he was in prison. Is that kid you brought from prison? But it didn't matter the money for that, because now he's really good. He does gold leaf windows in California. I've been out there twice to do work with him. That's more, that money there, you can't put a price on what I helped him do. He always says, oh, thanks for all you've done. And I just say, all I want you to do is turn around and show someone else. Because when I learned, the guys in the shops that I learned, what the hell are you doing this for, kid? Go to the service or go get a job, go be a college doctor, lawyer. No. I want to paint, I want to do this. And I stuck with it. And you just don't see that nowadays, what everybody says. But I think they're out there, they're just afraid to come and say it. Because it's all, and I'm getting guilty of it too, like this. But I'm learning, it's just another tool, just like the computer. I was scared when I came out too, and I had one of those machines as well, and I still have one. The money's going to be made, it might as well be me making it. I can have the machine cutting away, and I'm still painting over here. Oh, it's done. Here's your letters, or I'll go stick them on. I've made that money. It's no different than a saw on the wall. It's just a tool. That's all it is. And I know there's shops, which I've become friends with them. Just, we don't paint, call him, he'll do it for you. Well, thanks. Or if there's something, look, I don't have the digital, go to them. Well, back when I started, you didn't even wave to the guy. You didn't go in their shop, nothing. Now it's, oh, I forgot chrome yellow. I'll go to Bill's. Hey, Bill, you got chrome yellow? Yeah, how you doing? Hey, we're going to go eat. Next thing you know, oh, I got to get back to my job. What was I here for? Oh, yeah, chrome yellow. Oh, just give me another can, or he'll come over, hey, chrome yellow, lemon, I don't remember. And it's a lot of fun. There's a guy 40 miles from me, Dave Grell. He's an excellent sign artist. And when these guys were making this film, I was the last one they interviewed, and I didn't really know what was going on with it. I'm like, well, what is this? Are you going to do sign painters any good with doing a movie about this? And will it just be computer bashing? What's going on? And they said, no, we'll do it right. And they showed me a little commercial of what they did for a hat company in Chicago. I said, oh, well, that looks good, okay. But I said, you should see this guy, this guy, this guy. And they said, if we went to all the sign painters, every sign painter told us, we'd be going for the rest of our lives. And I did get a feedback from a few older sign guys saying, well, they didn't have this guy, this guy. Well, what we have to learn as sign people is going into this. Here's two people off the street who didn't know anything about signs. And now you got to do a movie about sign painters. Well, how do you do that? Where do you start? As a lot of people, when they filmed you, they would ask you a question and they'd say, just act like we're not here and just talk. You can see them going to the two cameras sometimes, but it was, you got to think in your mind, well, who's going to see this? And what are they going to want to know? And you kind of answer the question a little differently. But some of the guys, like the guy with the little dog, he kind of said what he wanted. But you know what? Thank God he's in there, because they tried to show from this guy to this guy. One's like a professor and the other one's a carny tattooist. And, that's how it is. And I think we're made as sign painters by the people that come into us. Because you have to show the same concern to some guy that just wants his name in a mailbox to a guy that's got an architectural job that's tens of thousands of dollars. And he says, there's days when you just don't want to put up with it. No, I'm not doing your damn mailbox. Do it yourself. But they'll come back, well, you sure were mad that day. Yeah, I know. End up doing 12 mailboxes, and you feel happy that day, because you might get a check in the mail or something. So when I talk to young people, I say, you want to be a sign painter? Okay, I'm going to scare you first. Are you ready for this roller coaster ride? What does that mean? Well, you got to go right down the middle. You can be having a pretty bad day. The ladder comes off, sign all these bad stories, or you can go do a gold leaf job, and it's beautiful, and you get paid, and you're walking on top of the world. So, you know, how do you show that in a movie? You really can't. This young kid from California, I'll give you an example. I went out to help him 2 years ago, and with all the tattoos, he does a lot of tattoo signs, and they are very colorful. And he says, hey, what do you think of this one? It was 2 4x8s. The customer sent him what it's supposed to look like. A bird here and a cat and all the colors. And I said, yeah, that looks all right. They should like it. So we drive it all the way down to this very seedy part of L.A. And this guy, Derek, he's a little guy. So I said, I'll get the 4x8s out. So I get them out, and I set them down. And then I just stood back, and I said, I'm going to see how you do on this kid. And here come the guy out with the tattoo shop. Oh, I don't know, man. This is, and he's like, well, this is what you told me to do. Oh, I got a partner, so I don't know. He said, so he's taking a picture of it, and emailing it to the guy, and then Derek's going, oh. And I'm like, well, I can't step in there. He has to get his first scars. So he came over by me, Derek did, and he said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And I didn't say a word. I knew he was asking for some magical 30-year sign experience, but I said nothing. So he goes back, and they're like this, and finally he looks at me, and he goes like this. And he says, put the signs in the van. No problem. Got him, went like this. This guy's walking behind me. Hey, where are you going? That's my son, that's my son. I put it in the van, shut the doors, and I sat back down in the van. And Derek said, you get the signs when you pay me the money. The guy says, yeah, but I want you to change. No. You sent me the drawing. I did exactly like you wanted. You going to pay me or not? The guy says, well, and we drove away. Hey. So there we are. And I'm sitting over there. Oh, God, do I know how this kid feels. He doesn't swear or anything. He beat the steering wheel. Oh! Oh! And I'm like, get it out, kid. There it is. Get it out. How's it feel? Well, that guy should have paid you this. And I said, I'm glad I'm here for your first sign scars. Yeah, but what? Lesson learned. You put those 4x8s up in your shop, and you'll learn from now on, won't you? It feels pretty bad, doesn't it? It hurts. What's the next job? So we went down to Long Beach. Big money people. The ladies with their faces stretched out, the little dogs, they're coming in, and I'm looking, here's this pillow that's covered with a feed corn bag. I'm like, what can this be, 20 bucks? $300! Here's a shitty old bike. $1,500. I'm like, whoa. Okay, so I'm just Derek's guy, you know. What are we doing here? Well, these are going to be gold leaf windows, and this and the logo's going to be here and there. The lady comes over, she's pretty nice and all this stuff. We were there late at night. Well, we better start this. You can't gold leaf it till the next day. So here, give me the pattern. I'll get going on it. I got it almost all done, and Derek's still doing the little stuff. He's still upset with this tattoo thing, you know. And his girlfriend's with, and his dog, and we're in this little 64, 40 kind of line van. And she goes, well, what do we do now? We're going to come back tomorrow and gold leaf it. Oh, well, where are you guys staying? We were going to all sleep in the van. And I'm just smiling. Yep. In the van. Oh, no, you're not. No, you're going to come to our place. We got a guest house. Derek, don't say no. Come on. We need this. So we followed them back to, oh my God, the guest house was a mansion. We didn't even see where they were sleeping. We hope this is good enough for you. As soon as they left, we're like, yeah, look at this. So we have a good night's sleep, we shower. The next morning she says, we'll buy you breakfast. No. She says, hey, when do you want to ride with me? Yeah, I will. So I rode in her big Audi and all that. And I said, I got to tell you a little story about Derek. She
goes, "You're from Minnesota, right? What are you doing way out here?" "Well, I'm kind of the guy that helped him into the sign painting thing. And he's doing a great job." "Well, I'm really looking forward to the gold and all that." I said, "Well, I got to tell you what just happened the day before with this tattoo guy." So I told her that story. She goes, "Oh, no, that's terrible." "Yeah, it is, but he's getting his scars."
Hey, Mike, let's ask another question, shall we?
I like the story.
Well, almost done, I'm sorry, I rambled. So we gold leafed the window and everything, got it all done. They took us to eat, and the lady goes, "Derek, here's your final payment, and here's $200 extra because Mike told me what happened to you and that tattoo guy." He looks at me, I said, she goes, "Well, that's just wrong." He goes, "Well, sorry, but you don't have to do that." "No, now you take this." So we left, took pictures, and I said, "Okay, come on, beat the steering wheel now. How you feel now?" So here he was up, down here, and he went to here. So in between all that, you got to concentrate on making stuff look really nice.
Raised hands, anyone? Okay, back there.
So if someone was interested in sign painting, what would you suggest as far as learning the craft and job opportunities?
I would go to Wall Dog Meet and use the internet to find people that are doing workshops. I'll start doing workshops at my place in Minnesota or other places where there's enough people gathered. Otherwise, there's LA Trade Tech, but that's a whole schooling thing. But the Wall Dog thing, you can meet people, show you how to do it, the brushes, the techniques, the paint, and everything. But there's a lot of stuff online that you can do. Letterhead meets, which aren't that done that much anymore, but I'm going to do one in March 4th through the 8th in my place. And you'll see a lot of the guys like that painting there, and that's a perfect place to learn it, because there'll be brushes for sale, there's panels, you can just go up, "Hey, I want to try this, can you show me this?" Guys from overseas all over the U.S. that'll help you, and either on, we have a website called CreativeSignmakers.com, and we talk and do everything signs and help each other out. So if you log on to that, you'll find a real wealth of information.
What about here in Champaign? If someone were to ask you guys, "I want to be a sign painter," how would you answer?
Go find a Wall Dog, so.
So that's the best answer I get.
There's just not a whole lot around here. I got lucky. My dad was a sign painter, so I kind of got into it that way. Matt's dad was a sign painter. We just kind of born into it a little bit.
I did.
There was no, I look at it like here, and I consider myself an uneducated kind of person about it. I was kind of, my dad would say, do this, and I do that over and over and over again. Kind of self-taught, so to speak. So.
That's right. Repetition. Find some fonts you like. Learn to, you saw the film, how they were taught to do the work. But if you find some fonts you like, and just repeat until you get it. That's what I did, and I think Burbs probably did it that way. But get a set of quills and some panels.
Yeah, I was totally self-taught, and I had the benefit of my wife's brother lettered race cars as a hobby. So he told me about one shot enamel, which was the standard anyway. And you can buy that online. You get some lettering quills, like everybody mentioned. You can get those from Amazon, eBay, just anything online. They'll ship them to you. And I would take a hunk of glass and get some, alphabet books, and then I'd have them underneath, and then I would just paint on top of the glass. And glass being a real slick surface was good, because you can letter on glass, and that would be like lettering on the side of a truck, real slick surface, or a glass window or something like that. And then, when it would dry, I would scrape it off with a razor blade and do it again. Just just like you were saying, repetition, eventually you get it.
I would say one more thing. If you're fortunate and blessed like I was to have a John Myers in your life where he would mentor you, take you along on jobs, and just have you help out. That was a tremendous blessing to me. I do remember a time when John, he was a full-time fireman at the University of Illinois, and I think there was a day, I'm not sure what the reason was, but John took off a day, and I gather they wasn't supposed to be painting signs, but the local newspaper, the News Gazette, happened to be coming by, and they happened to have the cameras, and they happened to take a snapshot of John and I doing a wall. And John probably remembers some specific points here that I'm going to miss. But in any case, we were lettering, and the next day the picture came out in the paper, and so John goes back to work the next day and got teased because he wasn't supposed to be doing sign work. I think he was supposed to be doing something else. I don't know whether he was sick or was something there, but it was fun, and we had a lot of laughs about that. But he's a great teacher in my life, and I appreciate that. And I also like to thank the Wall Dogs. We really enjoy your work. We enjoy listening to you, and it's a great experience to see you guys paint and travel around like you do, and do good work. And for Paul, the blessing you are here too as well. Thank you for organizing this.
One more question and that's it. Way back here.
I live in Chicago, and I do see more and more sign painting occurring, but what I see the most of is grocery store signs, like 24 by 36 paper signs. How much would one of those cost? I mean, or how would you guys charge per square foot or per hour, or how does that work?
That's one of the best ways to learn how to sign paper signs. I swear on it. To help your speed and everything.
They're usually done by an employee that's, the floor sweeper or whatever, here, do this, and they work their way up. But if you can do a few, go in there and say, hey, how about this? It's a little different look. But like Bill was saying, that is great. I know a lot of people that started that way for a grocery store, Hy-Vee or whatever, and it was just the markers. Then they went to painting it, and it just went on from there.
Try to get minimum wage, at least.
There's also a fan page on Facebook called Dad's Paper Signs, and you can actually follow there. You get to see what other people are doing, and you can pick up some ideas and some techniques and stuff like that. That's one of the things that we've actually been able to do with social networking in our group. When I started in 2006, I was never on Facebook, but in 2008, right after the Wall Dog meet or 2009 in Pontiac, right? I joined. The next thing we know, we started networking a little bit differently. But you can find forums like that you can go to, like Dad's Paper Signs, and study, look at it, ask questions. Those people are willing to share. I mean, that's how I got started with a lot of stuff I do, is because I ask the question. That's usually the hardest thing to do, is to ask the question, but the answer usually comes pretty easily. And I got those answers from the two guys sitting on each side of me here. So
I'll tell you what, paper signs, the paint is thin, real thin, and you ought to be able to do one of those in a matter of 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes. I mean, those guys that did those signs for a living, they would just have big long boards and have their paper on those boards, and a lot of them would carry paint, have little things that they'd wear down here, big brushes, on all real casual letters, and their paint was real thin. And the thinner, the better, because you had to go fast. If that paint is thin, you have to go fast. And those things have to be done real fast, and they'd take them and then hang them up on clotheslines with clothespins when they were done. Those guys that did that for a living, there used to be shops that did nothing but that. We had one in our town. You can make money doing them, but you can't be spending forever doing them. You got to do them fast.
They make a special paint for that. One shop makes it, it's poster color, and it's made for paper or cardboard or poster board. You'll need that. You don't do it with enamel.
Get the right paper and you draw it out with vine charcoal, and then when it's done, the vine it wipes right off with a paper towel. just sketch on it real quick and then you letter real fast. And you can make good money doing it if you have some stores that, you know, want to let you do it. And YouTube too, go on YouTube, you'll find out how to repair your refrigerator. I'm serious. I did my dryer,
Okay. I think that's all the time we have for tonight. The house people do want to go home, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure meeting all of you. Thank you for coming.
I was in my element. You know, this was it. Just to feel that brush and just a little bit of drag on the paint. You could make that brush do anything that you wanted to. I mean, that's power. It's real power.
Don't you think a sign is something that every person somewhere along the line has tried? That we're the ones that just kind of kept on going.
I got enough of an ego that tells me that I can do anything I want to do.
I liked working with the brush.
Even the way that I describe it to people, oh, what do you do? I'm a sign painter. I paint letters on buildings.
I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to do and make a living.
Every artist is a character, period. It's an invisible art. It's an invisible industry. People just take it for granted.
If you follow every known law in the sign game, you will at least do a sign that works. That's correct.
In September 1982, a company came out with a plotter that could actually cut out vinyl letters.
You can cut out these many letters out of this many square feet of vinyl and make this much money, and that's what motivated them. None of these guys had any background in the sign-making world.
I mean, hundreds of sign painters just threw in the towel.
At some point, there's got to be a backlash. I saw a bumper sticker that said, "Drum machines have no soul." It made a good point.
I look all over the city. This is my city.
On my gravestone, it's going to say, he died for greater opacity.
I think that every human being has the capability of altering their environment for the better with their bare hands.
Letters are really cosmic things. You can make any name in the whole universe.
Old signs become art. I want to make signs that turn into art.